Hello and welcome to the Sanctuary, a safe space to speak from the heart. I'm your host, Israel, and my guest today is a friend, talented award-winning artist, manager at Musik is the Motive Entertainment, based in St. John, New Brunswick, DJ, advocate, and the former Director of Artists and Industry Development at the ECMS. My friend, Dwayne, thanks for coming to the podcast today.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm glad to be here. Glad we could connect. It was a little fun time trying to get online too for us, but
Yeah, yeah. So
it means this is supposed to be a good conversation, bro.
I know. So we actually met at the ECMAs in PEI,
Yeah,
and had a
yeah.
wonderful time. Had you as my mentor, and I learned a lot. And the ECMAs was going in one direction, and then
hmm
somewhere down the road, we just got like this flurry of emails, and things just kind of changed. And what, like, from the background, from being in the trenches when that happened, what happened from your point of view? What went down?
Oh man. So, geez, do you want the real full story, or do you
That's
want
what we
just
are
like
here. It's a safe
the
space
cliff
to speak
notes,
from the
man?
heart. That's what we're
This
doing
yeah
here.
yeah this is a big thing that happened. I feel it affects a lot of artists, a lot of industry professionals here in Atlantic Canada. So yeah, I guess it's only fitting. Let's just start from the beginning. So I came in September of 2024, for this position to help with the export program and a few other things to you know help in development and move forward, and expanding the overall goal of what ECMA does, which is just the awards. So really, my role would have been more facilitating, the development of artists in the industry, coming, doing other things throughout the year. So not necessarily just the export program, and that, but being a part of that as well. And yeah, man, from the minute I stepped on board there, it was drama. It was drama, lots of headaches, lots of pushback, from the time of my ultimate resignation. Um, and really, it just, yeah, all I can say is there's a lot to the story. I feel like people have been not really advised of the real issues surrounding the ECMA. And I got to applaud Blanche Israel for, posting these things and coming out, and, after they just made these announcements, and, paid thousands of dollars to another agency to basically tell them what they need to do in this process of hiring a new ED and what needs to be done for the organization. This is all stuff that she identified and told the board and all of the staff, and wanted to put this stuff forward last October. So
Mm.
here we are. It's almost September 2025, and this is stuff that she said back in October that they just paid thousands of dollars, to get said again, and then take more steps backwards. And instead of just being honest, like that, at the end of the day, if they would just be honest, and sitting here now watching, everything transpire. I joked around with some of the staff, and one of the other staff members and I. Our ongoing joke was like, really, we should just be a folk Celtic type organization, because that's, and now, like, looking, like, we were joking about it, obviously, right? But looking back at it, and now sitting here and seeing the direction that it's going again, like, what, like, I wouldn't be mad at them. If that is the route that you wanted to take and say, hey, this is what we want to be, then just be it. But don't use all the other
Mm.
cultures, all the other organizations, and all the, us as artists, whether black, Chinese, uh, Indian, anything, just to pad the stats of what you need to fill. And then this goes, of course, for genres of music. So whether it's hip hop, EDM, pop music, rock, like, these guys, a lot of these guys are not getting the attention they need and deserve for an organization that's supposed to be representative of all of the ecosystem.
Mm.
And this is evident. Again, you can just look at the recent hire of the ED. Like they advertise this on their page. He's the founder of Great Big C. Now I'm not saying there's anything against like I have nothing. The great music. But if this is the direction you're trying to take, and you've already told everyone you're trying to be more inclusive in this, and then you take this step to hire someone that is their realm of their music, like
Mm,
what kind of message do they really think that's sending? And I'll tell you, they don't care. I was there, I worked there, I know how it goes on the inside. And I've been quiet only because I've been focused on other things that I could do to help artists. um, so I've been working on AI stuff and how to integrate that in the music ecosystem and what we can do. And I've got some other stuff that I do. I'm VP of Music New Brunswick board of directors. So like I'm very active in Atlantic Canada and have been since 2000, like for me. So I've seen it. I know. I've had my own struggles even with ECMA. So when I even took the position, um, it was a surprise on them that I would want to be a part.
oh,
Um, and to get in, I really wanted to do it. I took like my own, like I'm self-employed. I stopped being self-employed to take this position and work with the artists I work with, um, to do something bigger, and be a part of a change that's going to help and affect everybody, in a
mm,
positive light. So that's the type of sacrifice I gave, for this, because I believed in Blanche's vision, which this is another thing I really want to correct, because I know this has been said by the chair and the vice chair that it's not about Blanche's vision. And listen, Blanche's vision is what everyone else's vision was, except for those who were opposed to change and positivity and making things right for everybody else. Everyone else who's been saying, their things negatively about Blanche are the ones that, it's affected either their pockets or their groups of people. Um, and yeah, like yeah,
no, yeah.
I,
Let's rewind it a little bit, though.
yeah. Sorry,
So,
I know I rambled on there. So
no, no,
you
no,
gotta
no,
cut me
no.
off. You gotta
I
cut
know
me
this
off
is.
and tell me what parts you want to hear and ask me some questions,
Yeah,
because
no. So
but I
for the
got some other
people,
things I want to say. Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead,
definitely
go ahead.
we'll dig in. We'll
Yeah,
dig in. For the people
yeah.
out there that are checking out this episode, what is
Hmm.
an ED, like an executive director? What does that position mean? And in a typical, like in an organization as the ECMAs, what would an ED be responsible for?
So just so she was our captain, I'll say. So she's like the captain of this ship. She relays what's going on day to day with, you know, the people working in the office to the board. So ED and the chair would work hand in hand to make and establish things happening on both sides. So the board is responsible for governance, uh, implementing and coming up with things that need to be executed by the ED, which then the ED has, the staff to execute these things. Now, and I'll throw this in real quick. The big issue too was you have an ED, but they haven't had consistent full time staff outside of three people. Um,
Whoa.
and that, like, this is public knowledge. So I, like, again, I don't want them to because the word is about Blanche speaking out about lawsuits and all this other stuff. So I'm not in violation of anything. This is known fact, and anyone can look it up, and it's in their financials. But they haven't had like a staff. So this brings into question, like, with the ED having uh not a consistent staff there. Um, and if you want to execute things throughout the year, how would you do that when only contractors come in for,
Mm,
3 to 6 months of the year? So again, these are things that she identified and said, okay, we're going to do this and make these changes, and this is to benefit the members. So that's the other key thing that
mm,
really needs to be put out there, that all the decisions she made, um, I won't even necessarily say it was just her. Like, it was her speaking with the staff, also giving this information to the board to not break protocol, because this information was all given to them of what what she wanted to do.
Mm.
That's the proper, procedure with having an ED and reporting to the chair. So the problem
Right.
was, I'll speak on it. Like the chair was or not the chair, but the board in itself was inactive. Like, and when I mean inactive, like they weren't meeting as much as they should have. Um, and I'll say it straight out there: the vice chair had a vendetta against Blanche, and
Wow.
that kind of sparked the preset of getting a new chair. And then the chair and the vice chair were basically against Blanche and the staff and everybody. So they're the ones that were, pushing things. And I can say that safely because, again, look at the board from that point when the new chair went in. How many people left the board
Right. Right.
from
Right.
there? So there's been 6 resignations. It speaks for itself. So you know what I mean? Like people. I know there's going to be haters on here who are on their side, and to me, the only side is supposed to be for the artist. But I
Right.
know those people are going to come out here and say this and try to spin this narrative about Blanche and blah blah blah. No, man. Like the facts are the facts. You had a new chair that came in. They said the ED wasn't doing her job and everything was at risk of not happening.
Mm.
Bro, it's the biggest cap gaslight thing, as the young kids say, that I've seen in things. And I worked in radio broadcasting, so I've seen some crazy shit, like people getting fired over like craziness and whole departments being vanished overnight. So to see how they did Blanche, and be there and work there, and then under these circumstances expect to do a job that from the minute I started, man, like they didn't like people in those circles, namely the one who started the petition. Um, they didn't want me there, and they didn't want change. They want things to stay the same because they benefit, and that's facts. And if anyone thinks I'm capping or whatever, like I want them to come. I'd be willing to talk to them about it. Put them on us. Put them with me and you on a conversation, and let's get into the facts
Yeah.
and tell them to come out because they've all been pretty quiet when it comes to media or anything else when facts are out there being put out there. And the fact is, they didn't want the change. They did everything they could to keep things the same way, and in the end, they bullied people. They were disrespectful, violating their own governance for their own board of directors bylaws and bylaws for the ECMA. I might add, they violated them. Like no matter how you look at all this stuff that's transpired, there's been many violations of uh, their own bylaws. Um,
That's wild. That is
so
wild.
again, these are all things, and I feel bad because the artists are the ones that are missing out on this because a lot of the stuff should have been rectified and done and handled before Christmas. Whether there was a problem with what Blanche was doing, but they orchestrated this to get rid of her. I witnessed it. Um, we went in for Christmas, bro. Christmas break. We had our break. We came back January 6th. January 6th was when we found out, like our first day back after 2 weeks of Christmas. That's how we found out that morning going in on our Zoom call, and Blanche wasn't there, and we get told by the new chair and the old CEO's back, or ED, um, Andy, and the vice chair, and they're on a Zoom call with us, and that's how we found out that she was let go. And now, obviously, I can't, speak on what was I said in the conversation or any of that because that would be in violation, I guess. But um, yeah, that's how we found out that our fearless leader was let go. And again, mind you, a lot of the stuff we had planned for the event, like we were coming back that week knowing what we had to do because we had a big meeting retreat in Halifax, like right before our break at the mid-November. So a lot of the stuff was we were ready to go. So the minute we came back, because we didn't have our ED there, they brought in, the former CEO as the, contingent ED,
Hmm.
and he went to UK for the first month. So imagine, like, So just to set this stage, if these guys want to say they're at fear of this and this and this, whatever, cool. But then to hire someone and that person goes to the UK because he had previous things and he's gone for a month. That's part one. Part two is all these contractors that they go on and talk about this institutional knowledge and blah 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 blah. You know where they all were for the first 2-3 months of the year, like earlier this year? They're all in Mexico, bro. They were in Mexico. The technical director and everybody else were all in Mexico. The person who organizes the awards. All these guys are all in Mexico. And you know what? I ain't mad at being in Mexico because it's winter.
It's cold as
But
fuck.
yeah, it's cold. Get out. But here's the facts. And I take personal offense to it because I know that I've heard through the grapevine, like people have said, oh, Dwayne didn't do this or Dwayne didn't, this wasn't done. Bro, I did everything I was supposed to do. And I'll add that I was doing 3 different contractors who they hire's job from that time of starting until I left. And they were like, the CEO and other people were like, whoa, like, and that just speaks volumes there because I'm doing a job of 3 people. Not because that, like, for one, not because, like, I'm, trying to brag and saying that. I'm doing it because it needs to be done. I think I can do it. You know what I mean? And I was getting the job done. So there was no malice in me doing it and trying to, do this job. But then in the aftermath of them doing the awards and the event, and then people on there saying, oh, well, Dwayne didn't do this and this. Bro, like, 3 months, like from January until March, all of these contractors are in Mexico. So you're gonna, like, I'm me, and this is facts. Like, they can all say what they want. They all go to Mexico every year and have been for years. So again, I asked the question: how does this benefit the artist if you have to do an event, but your person who's handling your sound and organizing this and organizing that aren't even in the country, where the one person who is staff, who lived in Newfoundland, they stopped him from doing his job. And this, like, again, I'm not going to get into all those because I don't want them to come back and say, oh, this, but that's the facts. Like, and anyone could go back and look it up or ask these guys. Ask them, what, do these guys go to Mexico every year? Yes, they do. So don't, and I say all that to say, like, they said this stuff and set up Blanche and said, oh, we're a fear of this not happening. A lot of shit went out late because of these guys all being away. And all, like, we only get to have a meeting once or twice a week with the whole, like, one meeting was on one day and that's it. How can you expect to properly run an event of that magnitude with that kind of budget with people not present on a daily basis? The staff was, we were there every day. We were having meetings, so the work still continued. But in the end, you know what I mean? Like, I leave, some of them toughed it out, and, I applaud them for it. But for me, I saw the bigger picture of helping a broken system continue and rewarding the people who want to damage other people who are trying to just help. And for me, I couldn't stand it. And again, I knew the risk of me staying. And what I mean by risk is, I know people had it out for me not wanting a black person be there. And I'll say it, like, they didn't want someone black there. And if they did want someone black, they wanted someone black from Halifax, from a crew of people who, were tight with the vice chair. And that's facts. Like, they, from the time I started there, bro, like, I think I might have had 2 days of, like, no drama or headaches or someone complaining about something. And I
That's
really went out of my way to, like,
intense.
yeah, man, like, from the day I started, like, and people don't know the type of, mental stress that, like, a person can go through in a place like that. And I really did, man. Like, I didn't believe, like, in for myself, like, my mental health and worry about that in a work environment ever, even with, like, and I came up, like I said, in radio. Like, I've seen cold-hearted, like, assholes just be assholes. I've seen it. Like, doesn't, like, that never got to me. But bro, like, this whole thing, like, oh, he's just like, they basically thought I was just going to book like just rap people. And I don't know why. Like, well, I know why. It's because I'm black, and that's the assumption. Like, from a lot of these people, like, oh, he doesn't know. Bro, I've been doing export missions for years. I've been at every kind of conference. I've been to probably more conferences than a lot of these people who were hating on me
Mm,
and calling and questioning and saying, "Oh, well, are we doing this again? Are we doing this?" Or someone saying, "This isn't happening." We
mm,
weren't trying to change everything and rip off the band-aid like that right away, which was made evident, and Blanche made sure to tell. But I still suffered from that every day. One of the biggest things that happened, bro. Two of them, two things. I'll get into first, and then maybe we'll I'll let you ask some questions, and I'll hit up the other one later on. But the first one, my first week in, um, the first issue was dealing with a festival in Scotland that apparently was supposed to be doing a thing with ECMA, and supposedly have been doing this for 10 years. All I can say is nothing's on paper, didn't
oh,
exist. And again, they want to come after me for that. I don't care. Like, this gave me mental anguish, and I had to deal with a lot of stuff because of it to try to fix it. Actually, there's nothing on paper. There's no contract on paper of this event that they've been doing and sending someone from ECMA to for the last 10 years. So someone from ECMA was benefiting going to this event and then getting paid from other people outside of ECMA for the last 10 years. Now, mind you, this event is not supported by Factor. So Factor would not give funding for any music entity going to this because it wasn't deemed an industry event. So I did the research. I contacted the High Commission in the UK because I've been to the UK and I've been to the High Commission and I know the trade commissioners there. I contacted them myself. Found out that this wasn't deemed an industry event. These guys wrote letters to the board. They said that they couldn't support um, ECMA because of the handling of the contractor who left, who basically was the one going and doing these trips,
yeah.
getting paid, benefiting her artists, which again, that's a direct violation of the bylaws and a contract as an employee or a contractor. You can't benefit making money managing artists and doing this, and she was doing it. Um, and here these guys are harassing me to the point of, and I say harass, I mean like saying I need to provide a strategic plan. I needed to do this for me to prove to them that they should still be doing this thing that virtually doesn't exist on paper. So imagine you go and start a job and they say we need you to make the marketing plan for your company for us to want to work with you because we've been working with this person who did it for the last 10 years, but they never had a plan. So this is what I had to deal with, bro, my first 2, 3 weeks of working at ECMA. Um,
I,
and I'll just,
I'm
I'll just,
just I'm just
I
trying
have
to
to,
wrap my mind around that. Like, how can something happen for 10 years and there's not even anything written? Was it just like a handshake deal? Was it
yeah,
just
I'm,
like
I'm
a
guessing it was. I'm guessing it was. And again, I wasn't there, so I can't say this. Now, I do want to say, like, I see the value in it because it's a cultural, but this falls in line with like one of the big things I kept arguing with, the chair and the vice chair and people who were against this. Like, you have to look at the organization and look at whether or not you want it to be a cultural organization or is this organization a representation of industry. And in my mind, we're not a cultural, like, this is the music industry. That's what they pride themselves on being a voice for the music industry, for artists in Atlantic Canada who are in the music industry. So that tells me we should be doing industry related things, not cultural. You can include the cultural stuff with the industry, but the main primary focus should be industry related things that are going to make people benefit and be able to live off doing music.
mm,
Um, and sending someone to a festival that only benefits um, a small fraction of those artists culturally, because that's what it is, that doesn't benefit all of our membership. So that was neither for me to, say or whatever, like to handle, because again, that wasn't my, purview of like what my job description was. But, you know, I helped identify some things we should be doing and felt that we should be doing. And again, this whole thing with this festival, when it came out, like, I'm like telling them, like, there's no record of this. They're like threatening to pull their support, that like there's no support anyway. Like, what are we really talking about? And and anyway, man, like, I still, like, again, still out of the goodness of my heart, I still toughed it out and tried to resolve the situation. I contacted Factor. I contacted like I said, the government in the UK, and I contacted them. I had several meetings with them. Well, not
Mm.
several, three. Um, and even one of those meetings, just to tell you how serious I was about this, man. Like, my father-in-law passed away, like, in this time in October, on the 17th, and like, I dealt with that happening with my family. The petition dropped, which the petition, we can get into that too, but the petition that dropped against Blanche and the changes, bro, like, it was all whack. Like, imagine dropping a petition complaining about an awards, and then your artist wins an award that year and you didn't put, like, that's the thing I'll say about Sherry Jones. She put out a petition about the awards not matching stuff, and her artist won the award this year. They were there to get the award. But tell me, like, so anyway, yeah, like, the the petition came out. I had meetings every day that I could, like, about this topic, and then I had a couple, like I said, three meetings with that group of people. And on the day of the funeral for my father-in-law, like, I literally did a meeting with them because of the time difference in the UK at 9 o'clock in the morning, or sorry, 8:30 in the morning, before 9 o'clock, before my father-in-law's funeral started,
Mm.
to try to save that relationship that I didn't break.
Right.
I didn't, like, we didn't do anything wrong. We tried to fix it.
Mm.
So, and again, like, that's probably something that could be borderline or whatever. But at that point, I don't care. Like, that caused me a major amount of mental trauma of dealing with this, and have, like, a petition drop that's false, dealing with people saying they want to not support the organization or be there. And basically, it's because I was there. So imagine, like, as a black man in Atlantic Canada, and a bunch of people who you've never met from another country in Scotland saying that they never want to deal with, because of how the someone else was who didn't come back. And really, I don't know, like, to, well, I do know, but I'm not going to get into it because that's their personal thing, and that's, labor law issue stuff. But that person didn't come back.
Mm.
That's plain and simple. So why did I have to endure all that BS and go through that, when at the end of the day, like, if you really sum it up, none of the shit was on paper. You didn't have an actual thing, and then to sit there and say that I'm supposed to give you a strategic plan, when ECMA literally never had a strategic plan since 2000, whatever it was, 2009, or some shit like that. Like, over 15 years, I know for sure there wasn't a
Okay.
strategic
There are,
plan.
there are two things I need to break down. We'll get to the petition,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
let's talk
yeah,
about the strategic plan. So,
yeah,
I mean, we're in Canada. We know how
yeah.
arts run centers are. Usually, you get
Mm-hmm.
like a strategic plan every couple of years. What happened in this situation?
Didn't happen. They
Yeah,
just
like,
didn't do one. And bro, that all I can say is it didn't happen. I don't know the absolute reason. No one's ever given it to us. Again, there's some staff members like Catherine who've been there, and in her eyes, it just, well, I don't want to speak for her. I'll just say, like, from what I know from talking to her, it didn't happen.
oh,
Um,
that is wild.
And again, this is so. Remember the comment I made earlier about the board not being active like they should as a board? These are the questions that need to start going back to the board, because again, and really, like, like, they didn't do it. The board didn't act on that. And I will say with the strategic plan, that's something that Blanche was in the process of working on with us as a staff, but then also with the board. But again, there was silence, radio silence from the board, um, with Blanche and how she was, handling things, and ultimately when you have people on the board who, and again, I feel bad because I know the situation for a few of the board members and stuff who were there and who have left. Um, it's how can I say it? It's a hard thing for a board to be active when it's a very toxic type of environment where you can't speak up and speak your mind, and do what's right for your members.
Mm.
For one, for two, um, basically the board and people who are members of the board, they're donating their time for free to help. So ask yourself, would you want to be a part of a board where you're getting bullied and told that you have to do this or do that, um, by people on the board, when you're donating your time to help the community?
Mm.
Like, to me, bro, like that's the biggest question that everyone needs to ask. Like, out of all this, like out of anything I say or Blanche or anybody or their side, just ask the question: why would 6 board members resign?
Mm.
Is that doesn't happen like that unless there's something going on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what people are donating their time, giving up their free time to help our community, and they said that I don't want to do this no more,
Mm.
and I'll quit. There's your answer right there, bro. So anything that Michelle or the vice chair, any of these guys want to say, like, I'm not buying it. Like, to me, and I'll say this. I said this in a meeting. Like, just be honest. Tell If you're gonna tell me about Fire and Blanche and this, be honest. And she wasn't honest, and from that point on, I knew, like, this is all they're all feeding us, they're gaslighting us, and being cap, as the kids say. And I said, yo, like, that's not for me, man. And it's
So let's get
like tough.
into the
Hmm.
petition then. Um,
Oh yes.
I remember it coming online, and there were. I mean, most things have two sides to this thing. So
Yeah.
what what was your I guess your impression and your thoughts on the.
So basically, my take from the petition was, it was basically gaslighting the community because someone didn't come back to work, and um, that person didn't come back to work because whatever their personal reason was, and that's it. Like, it's simple, plain and simple. And again, if you look at who did the petition, Sherry Jones, I'll call her name out because she put it out there. None of it, anything she said in there is factual. None of it. So saying that the organization reads more like an arts organization versus industry awards is the biggest bull. I've juried many awards for other provinces and nationally with the Junos. Like, everything she was saying was just wrong.
Hmm.
And then this whole other notion. So there was 2 parts, just basically talking about the awards. And again, everything now in 2025 and even back then 2024, like, looking at awards, like, it's not a it's not a clean science, especially when you start talking about voting. There's always going to be favoritism and that kind of thing,
Mm.
right? Because how the system's set up for that. Um, but that was her argument, that the awards criteria was wrong and it shouldn't be like it is. Which, again, I'll say, you can disagree, cool, but to start a petition over it, bro, like, that's wild. And like I said, my whole take with her starting a petition, and then your artist turns around and wins the award, and you're there, have your artist there to perform and make sure that they get the award. Come on, man. Who are we really playing here? Who are we really gaslighting, as the kids say? Who?
Mm.
And then the other part of this petition was ECMA not honoring their duty to hire long-standing contractors. Now, this is the big caveat of all this. Um, the big word that was thrown around online from the chair, the vice chair, Sherry Jones, in the petition is um, long-standing contractors with institutional knowledge. Bro, I'm still trying to figure out what the hell institutional knowledge. Which institution are we talking about? The institution of old people from Atlantic Canada who just care about folk and Celtic music? Are we talking about the institution of like what institution is she talking about?
Mm,
I'm still trying to figure this out, I'm joking now, obviously, but um, to me, like I just feel that that was the most disingenuous thing anyone could do, considering she's benefited just like these other people and these contractors who've been there this long.
mm,
Um, the like you can go through the past life cycle of all the ECMAs for the last like 5 6 years. How many of our artists have been on there and succeeded because of that? The contractor who didn't come back and then came back, or Sherry Jones. How many of their artists have been on showcasing every year and benefited from the meetings, benefited from export opportunities, benefited. So to sit there and say, yeah, that's what she's saying. That's the institutional knowledge, institution of Sherry Jones and her friends and their whole circle of people, as people like Peter Rowan. Shout out to Peter. The Celtic Mafia, and that's the institution that we're gonna call it, just as being facetious. Like the institution of the Celtic Mafia. And that's what that boils down to, man. Like, and again, I have nothing against those contractors. Um, despite them going to Mexico, like, cool. But at the end of the day, like, when I get attacked and a petition gets started, and the other staff's getting attacked and the CEO's getting attacked, and it's just false information, like, no one. The funny part in this whole thing is no one was saying that the other contractors weren't coming back. And event like as you saw, they were there.
mm.
It was just one, which happens to be Sherry Jones's best friend, who didn't come back at the time. So even when I took the position, I was under the impression I was going to be working with that person. She chose not to take the job. Is that a cause for having a whole petition that you start talking about the awards? Which, again, I'll say it for people who don't understand this. She accepted the award. Her artist went and won the award. How can you sit like that stuff just is wild, man. Like it gets me to a whole other level of just hating for the sake of hating and then be there for the to reap the benefits.
Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, I mean the petition is still out there online. Is on change.org. It has
Yeah,
about 650 something signatures.
yeah. Out,
Um,
out of those, I just got to tell you, out of those 650 signatures, because we looked it up, and I'll say it, less than 10% of those people are actual members of ECMA.
okay, that's weird.
Less than 10%. So
It's
I,
like
like
you can't
that.
make a comment on the relationship you're not a part of, you know? I mean, sure, you can say stuff, but you can't, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's what she used as her leverage to pressure the board to do what they did and then oust Blanche. And I'll say that what's the word they say? Allegedly. So they'll come back. Then they'll come back and say something to try to sue me. But allegedly, that's what we'll say happened.
Okay, I'm just going through my list. The next thing I want to
Yeah,
touch,
good, good. Let's go, let's go,
the
let's
next thing I
go,
want,
bro. I told you this is gonna be an epic. I
the
told
next
you.
thing I want to touch on is so you know the petition happened, the board did the thing, Blanche was put away, and then there was kind of like a, I want to say, revolution from actual members, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
have these outsiders making comments, and then we have insiders saying, "Hey, hey, no, what's going on?" Because like this change was happening, we are part of this, we are welcoming the change, we are adapting to it, and then the captain of the ship, as you stated earlier, was taken away. What I guess would you say would be the reason why there was such an uproar when Blanche was let go?
Why they? I'm sorry. What was that?
Like people were really standing up and backing Blanche when she was let go.
Oh, oh man, they supported Blanche because people knew, like, regardless of what they're going to try to say or what they've tried to say, Blanche was actively talking to the actual community. She wasn't just talking to one person, she talked to the community. And she had an open door policy. And that's the same for all of us. Like, I'll say that for Catherine, for Anthony, Chris, all of us. That was our attitude because we knew we were dealing with so much shit. So even from that time that I got hired, bro, we went to Music Nova Scotia Week, make sure that we were there, and that's a whole nother story in itself. But I went, and somehow I didn't end up on the list to do one-on-one meetings. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. But yeah, like, we actively tried to go to the community, and Anthony went to Music Newfoundland Week, and Chris and myself and Blanche were all at Music Nova Scotia Week. I went to Music New Brunswick Week. Um, and Virginie was going to Franco Fete, and like, so we were as a staff, bro. We were actively out there in the community and taking any questions and any criticisms, anything anyone wanted to ask or say or give, and taking it back as a team and talking about this stuff every day. So them having this whole narrative that we weren't in tune with the community, bro, that's bullshit. We were out there in the community talking to these people, and I feel like the community recognized once they got rid of Blanche out of nowhere, because again, it was out of nowhere. No one knew anything of this except for the people who were involved. Um, and that's what happened. So I feel like all the members who did engage with us and saw, like, yo, like, these guys are really trying to help us. Like, they're not in it for themselves. Like, bro, like, just to also throw this in there, like, saying this is not about us, it's about the artist. Bro, I stopped all man. Like, again, just to say this, I stopped my business. I stopped all activities, and this, bro. Like, I manage that. Like, I stopped because, again, I feel like if you're in a position like this,
Mm,
working, and you're supposed to be helping artists, you can't have these types of favoritism. You'd never be allowed to work at Factor if you're a managing artist
mm,
giving out money. So I don't understand how that doesn't apply to us. But in their twisted world, it's like, oh no, it's okay. Like, it's just a conflict because I'm just so good at what I do, and blah. No, man, it's a conflict because you're making it a conflict, and you've got all these other artists that you're benefiting, and you've got this whole Celtic mafia circle that you only care for within your circle, and that's it. And I feel like too many artists have seen this over the last decade, and things have changed. Like, and I say a decade because things have changed that much dramatically in a decade
mm,
within the music scene.
mm.
And bro, like, and and I won't get into all the numbers and all this stuff, but I'll just say this: them guys in out here pushing Celtic and folk, bro, that's not even in the top 10 of export for music for Canada. So if we really wanted to, like, talk stats and this and throw that in their face, we could, but we didn't. We said we just need to help everybody.
Mm.
But on the scale, go look it up. It's what, ninth and 10th, folk and Celtic. Like, they're not in even the top five.
Wow.
Now we've got Grammy Award nominees from Halifax and Atlantic that aren't just doing Celtic music, and we didn't do anything for these people. How does Jamila get on a short list for Grammys, and we didn't have, like, no support for her to do something? If we're the East Coast Music Awards and our
Yeah.
music association, like, how are we not amplifying that story of someone from Atlantic Canada doing reggae music being pushed, bro? Like, and these are the questions that I was asking before, and then while I was there, I was like, yo, I'm happy to be here. Like, I'm gonna cut everything I gotta do to be here so I can be here full attentive to help every artist.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
and again, like, I had artists message me who were going to China, and they knew I had experience going to Asia, so they're asking me questions, and they're doing rock music, or um, artists who were doing folk or doing country. Like, bro, I had an open door policy just like the rest of us as a staff to talk to everybody to help everybody. And
Mm,
that's the difference. And I feel everyone felt that and they knew it was genuine. And that's why they all spoke up and that's why they continue to speak up because nothing is going to happen until these negative people on the board are gone. And this whole organization needs reform. It needs a better structure. It needs better governance. You need to get out the weeds of this organization, and
mm.
that's the only way they're going to save it. It's the only way. Otherwise, it's just going to become irrelevant even more so because of all this stuff that keeps transpiring, and they only care. And again, the other way is like I said, jokingly, if they want to be a folk and Celtic organization and then let something else move in, and then maybe partner with them or something. I don't know, but that's how I look at it, man. To me, I have like right now where I'm sitting, starting back up doing my organizational stuff as a business. I see no value in what they offer. I
Mm.
never, I and again, like I, my interactions with the ECMA have been very scarce over the last like 20 years, bro. I've never had to use them. Never had to go. Couple of artists I had who I managed, like City Natives or Fact or whoever, like they put in their time and wanted to get the awards, but overall, like I never went
Mm.
because I saw what they were doing, and now like again, like actually being involved and seeing it up close, bro. I just that's it for me. I'll never unless they get rid of those people. Which ultimately I'll say this too, just because I don't think this is on record anywhere, but before I resigned, that was actually one of my stipulations that I asked for. Like I said, I'll stay, but these people who are making this bad need to be gone.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Um, and I gave like, and again, like these guys, like, bro, they don't know. Like well, they do know now, but I kept records of all this shit. Like, and I wrote everything down. I made sure that they knew what was what, and
Yeah.
I specifically said these people violated this, and this of this. I for me to stay because of everything that I've gone through since being here,
Mm.
they need to be gone. And Sherry Jones needs to be banned. Those were my three things. Anyone wants to say Slim didn't, no, bro? I got the text messages.
Why
I can
does she
show
need
it,
to be banned?
bro. She needs to be banned. She needs to be banned because you can't manipulate people like that. And like, bro, she caused someone their livelihood. Like and caused all this chaos. And again, I know I'm joking like on the band. I did say like uh, something need to be done. Like whether she did an apology or even pulled the actual petition down. Those were
Mm.
the terms. Like I wasn't like she needs to be banned for life.
Right,
Like
right, right, right.
I'm
No,
just
like I said, the petition is
yeah,
still out there. The thing about
yeah,
change.org
bro.
is out there. It's out there. But
Yeah,
I mean, okay, so the train is moving, and then the
yeah.
April happened, and then there was that meeting. That was one of the weirdest meetings I've been in my life. Like I've been in weird meetings. Um, and that was a weird meeting. I mean, first of all, it was late. Let's start with that. But just it's like you know nothing was happening, like
Oh, the
nothing was
AGM.
happening. The meeting when they came to talk about what the board was trying to do and explain, and I think the
Yeah,
whole meeting was supposed to be for transparency and speaking out, but then they couldn't
and
speak out about anything, and I'm like, why are we what are we doing? Like I was so confused. So that's the next point I want to touch now. What was your thoughts on that meeting?
so I only caught bits and pieces of this meeting. To me, it was just all fluff, bro. Like you said, you hearing you talk about it right now, it just makes me laugh because I'm like, they just made it more confusing because they weren't straight, they weren't transparent. This whole thing about, and again, that goes back to the petition, the transparency and saying they're being, bro, they're not being transparent. If they would just come out and say things and say this is this, people would respect it, but they're not. They feed and give bits and pieces of what they feel they want to let you know without giving the whole context of everything and just saying this is what it is. Wherever the chips may fall, but this is what it is. They're not ever going to do it. because they think they're right. That's the bottom line. They think they're right. So yeah, I feel bad for a lot of the members who were on there. I heard the end part where the vice chair was very rude to someone from Cape Breton. Can't remember his name, but yeah, she was really rude to him. And then there was just a lot of ducking, and it just like at this point, like yeah, at the meeting, I just yeah, like I said, I couldn't stomach the whole thing. It was a joke.
Yeah, it was just a
Um,
weird meeting. I don't know. It's like we are going to talk about everything, but we're not going to talk about that. I don't understand. Blanche was so graceful. Because I remember Blanche spoke up when something was mentioned in the meeting, and then someone mentioned something, and
yeah,
like I don't think that meeting was recorded, but honestly, for posterity, I
no, it
think it should
was.
have been because like
Yeah, no, it was. It was recorded. Few people had some AI stuff recording it, I imagine.
yeah, because like
But
it was such a shocking thing. And then that all culminated with the search for the new ED CEO of ECMAs. Um,
hmm
what was your thoughts when you saw that post going out?
so I had saw the post from the KRBS, so that's the firm that did the search and all this stuff. So my initial reaction to that was I thought it was going to be someone else, like within that realm. So I wasn't shocked. Um, but again, I had looked at that brief that they had sent out to all the members from KRBS, the firm. Um, and again, like the only thing that goes through my mind is all the stuff that these guys outlined that they paid them thousands of dollars of money that's supposed to go to the artists and the actual cause of this. They paid someone to do this report for however many weeks that Blanche literally said every item that's on there needs to happen for her as an ED to the board, to all the staff, and wanted to release this to the members back in October of last year. Like, so for me, like, I get mad, and then I don't get mad, and I'm like, who cares? Like, they're setting themselves up to do the same shit over and over again. So why am I putting this negative energy towards that? And again, like even us talking like this, all this stuff for me is just like this is the outlet just to say because I never really spoke publicly, and I did get asked like from media, but I saw some of the storylines going out from media, and I'm like they're not talking about the actual stuff that needs to be talked about. They're just doing what they're doing for their headlines of what they need for that. But like again, like I feel like what we're talking about right now, these are the things, this is the meat and potatoes of what needs to be said, what should have been said. Um, so artists have like and industry professionals and businesses have like an actual fair shot to understand what really went on, what's really going on. And now them sitting there saying, "Oh, well, we got this new ED because we paid all of our money into this, and after losing money, like, bro, how many settlements have they done? Ask yourself that. How much money have they done now for settlements and bringing in new EDs and like they brought in Andre, they brought in Andy, they brought in Blanche was there, and now another one. So they've had 4 EDs in 1 year
Wow.
in a year cycle. Think about that, man. Like that's all money going towards Edie. And again, Blanche put her price tag of what she was getting paid, like, and that's on her, like, wanting to do that. So I want you to think about that, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they've now they've done 4 different people in a year cycle. Four. Are you you're mind blown?
I'm speechless. I'm
But
speechless.
yeah, it's hard, man. Your reaction is like what mine was like daily. Like and I know some of the staff they would laugh at this. I know Virginie, she sees this, or Chris. Um, I used to just like we'd be on camera, man, and I'd turn my camera off because like I need to, man. I gotta turn my
I'm
camera off,
just
go
I'm
make a
just
tea,
I'm just
because
taking notes, yeah, cause like my mind.
yeah,
Um. Okay.
Yeah.
let's move on to we had Blanche finally spoke up. You know, once the message came out of the new ED that was picked up, Blanche came up with this story where, again, like I said, she's very graceful,
Yeah.
very methodical, and very straight to the point. And she wasn't even talking about the emotional or the, she was like, these are the facts and this is how much money is being spent. Because, money is something most people can at least wrap
Yep.
their mind around. So, what did you
Hmm.
think of Blanche's story on Instagram?
I loved it. That, bro, that right there. I want everyone to go look at that video, watch it, and then you'll understand like why I like a person like myself and other people would want to work for her. Like she knows what she's doing, man. Like it's evident. Um, and I liked it on a like another level of just on business and just knowing how some of the people are on the board, the chair and the vice chair, how they operate, and seeing that, and they'll probably want to take action or do something negative, which would reinforce basically what she was saying in the video about wasting money. And number two, like all she did was regurgitate the stuff that
What
they
was
have,
on the
like
paper?
everyone has access to.
Yeah, yeah,
So they like again, like I just for me, seeing that and hearing it, and I know people on their side, and it really, it's not for me. It's not both sides, but I'm just gonna say it for this. Like, I know they're looking at that like, oh, that she shouldn't be doing this, but bro, she used your own information and told the people what's really going on.
yeah,
So if you're mad about frivolous spending, stop doing it.
yeah,
So, stop doing that shit. Like, how are you going to
yeah,
get mad at someone for telling everyone that you're spending public money wrong,
mm,
and then do it again and again and again,
mm,
and
mm.
like and then get mad about it because we're telling people like it's the most ludicrous, ridiculous thing. And again, like seeing the video, I was very, very happy, bro.
Mm,
I was
mm. Yeah,
very
it was
happy because I'm
very,
like
and
this.
I think, apart from her listing out the things, showing the receipts and stuff, I think for me was the ending, because she was just saying where the whole, like, it's like this organization is pretty much just digging itself its own grave, and based on what she has noticed, based on her experience, this is what can likely happen, especially since everything is run on funding, and if this is what the money is being spent on, it might not happen again. And also the feedback from all the artists and people just commenting on that was like really eye-opening for me.
Yeah, 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 and I'm glad. I'm glad it's eye opening. And I really encourage artists to really want to like be that change. If they really want to save this organization, that's what has to happen. They all have to speak up, speak out, and speak loud about this whole thing because otherwise, it it's not going to last the way it is. Outside, and I will say this, outside of like what Blanche said with the the funding, like they do get sponsorship and stuff like that. But I feel like in this day and age, sponsors are not going to be apt to want to spend money for a cause that's doing this much drama in a
Yeah.
year cycle. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like
you don't want your name on that.
if I was a sponsor, why would I entrust my money going to this cause when there's this being said?
Yeah.
um and again, the best way to fix it is just you gotta gut the problem. And until they do a real big reform, they come up with better governance. They cut like a lot of that stuff was outlined, like I said, in that KRBS form that they sent out to all the members. But again, Blanche said all this last year. And now to sit there and say, well, she wasn't equipped to do the job. We were worried about this, and now like, bro, I'm like you guys don't like. To me, I feel they shouldn't be there. my honest opinion, if I had to give it, of what I feel should happen, Catherine, I know you're going to be mad at me for this, but Catherine should be the chair of that board. And that's how I truly feel from what I've seen from this organization and actually knowing the history of the organization, um, from them and understanding what's happened and transpired, money, everything. I give Andy and Catherine full props for what they did and how they revived that ECMA, because at one point they were almost going under, and not going to exist. And Catherine and Andy were the two people that saved that place. And then Catherine has the biggest heart, for that organization. So to me, she she has the best view on the office side, knowing what the staff and what is required to accomplish the event, and then also on the other side with contractors, but then also with the board, because she's been active in all three areas. So for me, if it was me and I had to say, I would say get rid of everybody, let Catherine, well, not everybody, but all the bad weeds of the board who aren't really there to help make a change, in the right direction. And for sure, the chair and the vice chair got to go. I'd make Catherine the new chair, um, and I'd advocate for new governance laws, better contracts, and then people who are involved in working there. There can't be no conflicts of interest, man. You got to be there working for the organization and the members and all the artists. That's the important part. You can't double and triple dip and make all this money and have all this stuff going on, man. Like that's it's no other organization involved with like federal funding and provincial funding and all that stuff. They don't do that.
Mm.
So why is it they get the pass? And again, like I just feel Catherine, out of anyone I've seen, and I'll say like the whole staff for me, bro, I'll say it was great to work with. One of the best working experiences is outside of all the drama, like just
Mm.
good people. But to me, Catherine put her heart and soul into this organization for the last, several years being there, and saving it multiple times. And she understands that better than anybody. And I just feel anyone listening to this or seeing this or watching this, like I'd love to see everyone just do a reform to try to make Catherine the chair and get rid of the chair and get rid of the vice chair, and just have her as the new face of ECMA,
Mm.
and then go from there and build. Like if this organization is going to be saved, that's the type of radical extreme thing you need to happen.
Mm.
And whether that does or not is to remain to be seen. But for me to be involved with that organization ever again on any aspect of even attending or anything, that's what I would need to see. I would need someone like her involved, because I know she actually cares about everybody, regardless of music genre, race, gender, all that stuff, man. Like she's the person that should be, you know, leading that organization into the new year. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like from what I saw, like some people's egos are just some people's egos are just their egos, and again, they feed it to feed themselves and feed the beast and keep going, and it's a shame. What do you think?
I'm just trying to.
What's next? What's
I'm
next?
taking down this. I'm just taking down this so I can just like.
Yeah,
But okay, so I wanted to
yeah.
say like I um um, the the next edition of the ECMAs is coming up in a few months.
Oh
They've
yeah,
sent
yeah.
out, the post of like preparing to submit, to present, to showcase or for awards and stuff. Let's bring it back to the artist. Whatever the drama is happening, like as an artist, with this new ED coming in, with the whole prepping for next year, as an artist or artist managers, what advice would you give?
Oh, that's a tough question. Okay, if I remove myself from the situation as an artist and just think as an artist manager or an artist, um, I just look over all the information of what's going on and what's been said, and I just really assess if attending makes the right, like, makes the best sense for me. Like, is this going to help advance my career? Is that, like, you know what I mean? I'd ask those questions. And again, like, excuse me, I'm trying to I'm trying to offer the best advice I can without, leaning towards me. Like, the me would say I'm not going. And I'm not
Yeah,
going
we're
because
talking
of
about it.
bullshit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't want to do that. I want to be objective, and being objective. And again, like, it kind of falls back into that other thing of what I was saying. Like, I've never really gone to these. Like, yeah, I've never had to. Um, Again, like, whether I was working pop music or hip hop, um, production for producers who I manage, like, I never really had to stop there because they never really offered what I was looking for to help. So I was going to other conferences. So I think that's the most important thing. Like, and again, this was something that we were trying to change, like, was to have things active and quicker. And what I mean by that is knowing a large part of who we were going to invite and who's going to be a part of the event earlier, so
Mm.
people can make those informed decisions. And again, as an artist manager myself, like, these are the gaps that I saw, because I'm like, what, like, why would I want to put out a press release in March and look for that press release in March and decide if I'm going to go to your event, like, in a month, like, or in a month and a half, 6 weeks usually, right? Like, that's not a lot. That's not a lot of lead time to really make those really good informed decisions. So in my mind, and what we had all been talking about, and a large part of what we were trying to do, but we got stopped, was uh, having stuff booked before Christmas. So even with delegates and having people confirm, like, before Christmas, because I feel like that, like, if you know a lot of the stuff before Christmas, or at least have like a chunk of it, bro, like, then I know I can make an informed decision and be like, okay, yeah, like, I need to be here. I need, like, okay, let's get in our grant work. But to give somebody, like, 6 weeks, that's not enough. That's not enough leeway time. So I just say to the artists and managers and industry people, like, just see if it makes sense.
Yo, man, Dwayne, this has been a very eye-opening, refreshing conversation. Cause I remember, like I mentioned, that meeting about being open and saying what was happening.
Yeah,
This is the what being open sounds like. But I want to end on, on like on a good note.
yeah.
And I thought, okay, well, two things. One, you've already mentioned that Blanche was upfront and was leading the charge and stuff. And I guess for artists in particular, right? You've mentioned
Hmm.
AI. I'm
Yeah.
like, what are some of these? Like, there's so many things happen like this. AI, Spotify changing things, drama in local music associations,
Yeah.
all these things coming together basically. Um, on a good note, why should artists just keep making their music?
Oh, for the art, for the culture, for the love. Like, music is music, man, and it's music is the universal language, man. At the end of the day, like, that's what it is. I just tell artists, just never give up. Always just keep being creative, keep releasing music, and do what you can. The industry is always going to be there. There's always going to be that industry side of things, and the majors always rule that, and that's a whole nother conversation, which we can definitely have. But nah, man, like, I tell artists just to keep believing in their art and keep believing in their work, and keep releasing it. Don't let none of this other stuff bring you down from your mission of, you know, trying to reach everybody you can with your music and with your art. Um, it is the sad part about the music industry that it is the industry side, but again, like, just don't lose that artist edge and artist side. And you feel something, get to the studio. Your art is timeless, and just focus on your craft, man. Like, and do what you can to make that better. And that's as an artist, that's your job. Focus on your music, and then all this other stuff with the industry and dealing with that, like, that's just added stuff to do as you keep growing and evolving, right?
Wow.
and learn that next step. That's what I'd say.
Dwayne, this has been so enlightening. This has been so much fun. I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much for setting this up, even though we had all the technical issues at the beginning. But yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate this, and we'll see what tomorrow brings with the ECMS.
Yes, we will. We will. And that again, man. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, this is a great chat. I'm definitely open for some more conversations. I think there's a few other topics we could definitely talk about um, and get into. But no, this is great, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.